Hey Villa fam, welcome back to season 3 of Honest Conversations with Two Village Girls. I'm Serena.
I'm Angie.
This season, we are focusing on all of the common questions we've been asked about specific child behaviors. This week, we're answering the question, when should you believe a child? And when we say this, we mean in situations where our child is perceived, or a child is perceived in danger or in a bad situation. What's considered danger? Like, danger is such a loose term because of how things are perceived. Like, what's your perception on these kinds of things?
I don't know, like danger to me is like anything that like putting my child in like harm's way basically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's either for me, like if I'm harming my child or if somebody else is harming my child, they are in danger because yeah.
So
But then at the same time I know you say it's tricky because I don't know, like
what's considered harm to you?
that's a good question. I don't know, like touching my child without my permission is harmful to my child.
I mean, I
Sex
feel
with
you
my
on that.
child, sexual actions with my child is harmful. It's a danger to my child, of course, but that's everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, like being abusive to my child, like screaming, yelling, all of that can be harmful to your child. To be honest.
True. I think that what makes it tricky is a lot of things that like the reason I was saying it's a tricky topic is because certain things are considered more controversial in terms of like what's a danger, because like spanking, for example, spanking, I know we said we talk about that in a different episode when we talk more controversial topics, but like in this instance, like some people think spanking is a danger to a child, some people think it's not, which makes it tricky to draw the line of like how far is too far when it comes to harm in a child and like parenting styles basically.
Okay. Well, well, you know me. Like I don't really put my hands on children. Like I don't even. I don't know. I don't speak my. I wouldn't speak my child. I don't have children, y'all. So I wouldn't speak my child. Um, but that's also how we was raised.
Mm-hmm.
Like on spankings. Once there's some bruises, I feel like that's too far.
Yeah.
And once spanking is like a control thing for the parent, that's too far. Also, like if spanking isn't doing anything,
Yeah.
isn't like teaching the child anything but hurting them, that's too far.
Yeah, that's true. And just anything that just causes children like distress as an end result.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically.
I feel like when it comes to like danger in a child, it just has to be anything that stops them from being themselves or being like age appropriate, or just causes them underlying health problems, whether it's mental health, physical health,
Mm-hmm.
anything that intervenes with their basic lifestyle. So, like,
Yeah.
if they're unable to socialize at an appropriate age level because of like emotional manipulation or abuse or something, like
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, if they have anxiety being around certain family members or certain adults, or like that, there's kids that like fear their parents, like those kind of things, which is basically like, in a way, like where we're going with this topic anyway.
Yeah. That's that little control thing. When
Yep.
children fear their parents, their parents, I'm not going to say that their parent is controlling, but I feel like a lot of times the parent is controlling in a way. And like
Mm-hmm.
they use their authority just to like make that child do whatever they want that child to do, basically.
Yeah. Let's talk about those like troubled children though. How in a situation where your child is like you're having a hard time with a child, and then they come to you and they tell you like something's going on, like how does that usually play out?
I don't know, cause like I feel like I would be speaking from a parenting standpoint, and I'm not a parent,
Yeah,
so it's
that's
kind
true.
of hard. But like I guess like if I was a parent, like if
Mhm.
I did have a troubled child, and that child was to come and tell me something,
Yeah.
like happened to them, like like from my own experience, I feel like I would like I would believe my child because that's my child for one. Like yeah, like children lie sometimes for
Yeah.
fun for whatever reason they might lie. They do lie, but I feel like I would believe them just because like I shouldn't have a reason not to. Yeah. So how would you handle? I know
So
like, I know you don't have children either, but
yeah, I don't have kids yet. Yet off the bat, like I feel like every parent is the type of parent to say, like, I'll believe my child because they're my child. Like I 100% agree with you, which is why we brought up this topic today, because people say they'll believe their child until something actually happens. And then there's a lot of factors to consider. So I wanted to like bring up the different things that we don't like that families don't really talk about.
mhm.
Um, and I'm saying this from like experience as a foster child and growing up with multiple families and multiple different backgrounds. And the biggest thing that I've seen or experienced both as a child and like as a teacher or a caregiver of children is like the bystander effect. Seeing something that's happening in a child's life and not saying anything for like a number of reasons. Like people think that, oh, you know, if I say something, then CPS will get involved. And what if they end up in a bad family because of me? Like, what if I make things worse? Or like if there's like family problems, like, oh, my great cousin or something is raising their child and I see them like yelling and like disciplining their child, and I'm saying discipline in air quotes because like there are times where like we'll see a child that didn't do something right and it's like, okay, well I don't love you anymore kind of thing, like just using those like manipulation tactics.
Yeah.
And like you said with the spanking, like spanking to cause harm rather than spanking to teach a lesson kind of thing. A lot of families that say like they'll defend their child or a child, like if you see these things, a lot of our reactions is to just mind our business. Where do we draw the line?
It's really hard like trying to like jump in and tell somebody else how to parent while
Absolutely.
they are raising their child. And that's especially if you don't have your own children. That parents be offensive when you know they're like people trying to get them advice and they don't even have their own children and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And but I don't know, like I feel like I'm more of a bystander because I wouldn't say nothing. But for me, it's just like a overthinking thing. Like if I say something, like what is it going to change? Is the parent going to change? Is the parent even going to care about what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. I feel like your family have to be like really open and understanding for you to be like to be able to give them advice about how they're parenting or whatever the case is. But if like one of my family members came to me with like some advice or something, then like I would feel comfortable like giving them advice or giving them my opinions or what they could do for that child because
Mm-hmm.
even though I don't have my own children, like we work with other children and I
Yeah.
work with other children in my family as well. So like I know how to handle them. I know what to do in certain situations. I know what to like. I don't know. I guess I just know what to expect, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, family is hard. And like in my family, I feel like nobody ever said anything, but nobody ever said anything because like they didn't believe us. They believed my grandmother, so it was kind of different.
But that's a good point. Like we're talking about when to believe a child. You're choosing your a child over a grown adult. Like where do we draw the line? How do we draw the line? If a child is saying like hey, or if a child is going through something and we see them getting yelled at and we see them in a situation where it's like, oh my gosh, you shouldn't do that to a child, you shouldn't say that to a child. Like are you doing a service to this child if they still have to go home to a negative environment or a possibly toxic environment? Like if you draw the line and say I'm okay with this because they spend more time with me, I feel like that's you saying I feel like their environment is not safe for them, but I can't do anything about that other than keep them with me as much as possible and hope for the best when they go home.
But like, I mean, what else do you expect somebody else to do for like, for instance, say if like I don't know. I had children and I was like hollering at my child or whatever, and
Mhm.
you're my sister or whatever, and you don't like how I talking to my child. You don't like how I don't know, put my hands on my child or whatever. Like,
Mhm.
are you gonna come in and take my child from me just because I'm hitting my child? Or what can other family members do if that's their child, you know? Like I have my, like, you don't have to, I can keep my child from seeing you ever again. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, like I feel like saying something causes more problems. Like more problems like with other family members, it would cause problems because like I was saying, parents get offended.
Yeah, that's exactly the question.
What?
How do you how do you deal with those situations? Like how do you address these family members?
Yeah.
Because like you said, they can withdraw you from talking to the child, having access to the child, and it could be worse. There are things that could happen to make the child in a worse situation if you feel like you're their safe person, and then suddenly the parent stops letting them see you because you said something that offended them or
Mm.
something. Like addressing those concerns to like families and to like friends, or to like if the child is feeling something or saying something, like how do you approach that?
Very hard.
Because we don't want to put the children in a worse situation, but do we intervene? How do we intervene?
It's really hard to say.
Welcome to Two Village Girls, where we have found a question that has stumped us.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's only hard because like families are difficult. Like
Ultimately, the most important thing is the kid.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say too. Basically, make sure the kid is okay.
Mm-hmm. Regardless of what the child, like who the child is to you or to their family, the goal should always be to make sure that in the end they are well taken care of, regardless of the parenting style, regardless of their behavior.
Like I can give y'all some stories. So when I was younger, like me and my siblings were younger or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not gonna say my grandmother abusive, but my grandmother used to like saying like really rude stuff. And sometimes, sometimes she was physical, stuff like that. But that's how she disciplined.
Yeah.
And like I feel like only one person in my family was even like strong enough to step in and say something to us. And that's my older sister for real.
Yeah.
And I feel like she's the only one that's was able to like come in and step in on our behalf or whatever to like make the situation better or whatever. Yes, having that other person come into my like issues or whatever, into my household issues,
Mm-hmm.
it did make the situation worse because now like my grandmother and my sister, they don't have no good relationship anymore. So it's
Yeah.
just like hard when like planning family events and things like that. That's just like on the worst end of not, somebody said something and then something bad happening afterwards. After she tried to come in, CPS came to our house and they didn't really do anything. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say it's anybody's fault, but
Yeah.
when they come and talk to you and they come to talk to us as children, the
Mm-hmm.
child like outside of the adult too, and they wanted us to tell us the situation, and like the four of us living there, we didn't want to make the situation worse. We didn't want to like, I don't know, get separated. We just had this thought or idea like if we tell them like our grandmother's doing this and this, we're going to be like separated, put in foster care and stuff like that. So we just kept our mouth closed and dealt with it for real.
Yeah.
It's like some situations like that you have to be quiet. It's better not to say anything sometimes, but
That's a good point too. I've been talking about like from the adult perspective, but like from the child's perspective, like what's in the child's best interest, and making sure, like you said, you were worried about where you were going to stay, whether you were going to be separated from your siblings. Like that's a good point. I didn't think of it like that.
and the thing is, like, my sister was wanting to take all four of us. That's a
Yeah.
lot. That's really a lot.
Especially if she's not too far off from your age.
I mean, yeah, she's a little older than me, y'all, but not that older.
But I didn't think of it like that. How can we make sure children are provided with all the tools needed? Is that just education? I feel like it could just be education, like teaching them about themselves and what's right and wrong.
hmm And a lot of kids don't even know like manipulation is a thing, or like kids don't even know like sometimes that their parents are being like harmful to them. The
Oh
kids
yeah,
sometimes they don't know their self that they're in danger is what I'm trying to say.
absolutely. I've seen many a TikTok trend. Don't judge me, guys. I'm new to TikTok, sorta. But I've seen these like TikTok trends that are like, what are things that your parents did that you now realize was wrong of them? And it's just like these crazy things that people talk about. And it's like, wow, like as a child, you don't realize like, oh, you're not supposed to do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is very much wrong. Like one of the things that we talk about is just like when parents get upset, they like insult you.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And it's phrased in a way that kids believe like, oh, it's just me like being stupid right now. I'm better than this. I can do better. But really like these are things that stick with kids and they don't realize it's wrong. They don't realize that you're not supposed to go home and be berated and insulted
Mm-hmm.
when you do something bad. Like everyone does like makes mistakes and everyone does bad things at least like once in their life, if not like
Yeah.
200 times as a child. Like it's part of childhood to make mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and stuff.
Exactly, because they're exploring. Childhood is about exploration. Like they explore everything. They're gonna make mistakes.
Mm-hmm. These kind of things sit with children
And then not only that, like you can see some of those things and like in your character when you become an adult and stuff like that too.
mm-hmm.
Like when my grandmother was being like verbally abusive, like I can remember like it's yesterday her saying like I'm just like my mother or I'm gonna be just like her. But I can remember that yesterday and like none of that stuff raised my self-esteem. Like to this day my self-esteem isn't like where I want it to be because of those situations. So parents really don't know like that affects children into all the way into their adulthood.
Absolutely. I remember this didn't happen to me, but it happened to one of my sisters. My mom would get mad at her. My sister was asked to turn off the stove or something.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you turn the knob, it has to be like pointing down. There's like a little dot that has to be pointing down to show that it's off when you turn the knob.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she looked at it and saw that the knob was pointing down, but really was pointing up. But my sister didn't realize that. And so my mom got so mad at her that she was like, oh, you could have killed us. You don't belong in this household anymore. Pack your stuff and go. And I remember sitting there, my sister is like crying and upset, and she's packing a bag, not knowing where she's going to go. And I'm sitting there unpacking her bag. And I'm like, you can't do this, like realizing like this, what am I supposed to do here? She's following directions. And I'm sitting here at a loss because it's how do you do this as a kid? How do you tell that to a kid? And how do you, like me sitting there and just watching, like I physically couldn't, because it's like I don't understand what's happening. We're kids. She has nowhere to go. And for my mom to just stand there cross-armed and watching her pack her bags in anger, it's like, this doesn't teach children anything. It just kind of, it weighs on them. It teaches them that if they mess up, if they make a mistake, they're no longer part of the family. Like to go that heavy, like these manipulation tactics. And I mean, long term, she like followed the rules. She was more detailed and like careful with what she did.
Mm-hmm.
But at what cost? Thinking that she was one step away from being put out at like age 10.
Mm-hmm.
The way we talk to kids is important, and believing kids in this instance is a lot more in believing their actions instead of their words.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, because it's easy for a kid to say I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
And then you look at them and they're like running laps, and what else do kids do? Running laps around the house and playing games with their siblings, wanting to go to the park and to go get ice cream and doing all these like exciting things, but they're saying that their tummy hurts kind of thing. So like believing in this case, when should you believe your child, is like watch their actions around people, around certain situations, because their actions speak louder. If you ever feel like a child's in a bad situation, like just see like how they're reacting. Are they just saying they're in a bad situation? And I'm not saying don't believe them if they say they're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But a lot of times their actions will speak louder than their words will, because not all kids have the voice to say, hey, something's off with this person or something's off with this situation.
Yeah, that's true. And just know your child, honestly. We talked about that in season 1.
Mhm.
Just like doing like talking to your child, listening to them, just getting to know them. If
Yeah,
you know the child like the back of your hand, you should know like what's gonna bother them, what's bothering them, when they telling the truth, when they're not telling the truth, and
absolutely.
like that. To make it easier for children to come to you, like we always say, like communicate with them, let them know that like anything, it can be anything. Like you can come talk to me about anything. Like have that like open relationship with your child, so that they don't have to feel like they have to hold it in and hide it from you or lie to you.
Two Village Girls has reached a somewhat resolution to the question. But let us know what you guys think. We jumped back and forth a lot on like the different sides, like the different arguments
Mm-hmm.
of what's considered like a problem in like childhood or like in parenting styles and how to address them.
Yeah.
But let us know what you guys experienced, either as a child or raising your child, or like with your families and how you would approach these different things. Just let us know so we can get some more ideas and more of a concrete understanding.
Thanks for tuning in again to another episode with Two Village Girls. Please subscribe to our channel if you are new. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them down below. Also, go ahead and hit the bell to get notified when new videos drop. Please follow us on all our social medias, which will be listed in the description box below. And as always, we want to send you out with some positive vibes to get you through the rest of your week. This week's inspirational quote is by Jane Goodall. They say, what you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what difference you want to make. Thanks, Villa Fam. Bye.
Bye.